Hello and welcome to Gubb Farm. Today I'm going to be pruning the newly planted hazelnut trees. I will also be pruning the trees that went in last year, so I'm pruning 2 and 3 year old trees. So for the new trees, a lot of them are just single stem. So what I have to do is cut the leader at around 80 to 85 centimeters, and that is to create scaffolding branches coming off the tree for future growth. I have fabricated a simple holster so that I can dip the shears in alcohol between cuts to stop any pathogens going between the trees. I just use a washing up liquid container and a piece of string. So I'm using a fence post which is 90 centimeters tall to help me determine where I'm going to put the cuts on each tree. So I'm aiming to put a cut at the first significant bud below that, so it should be around 85 centimeters. There's a lot of conversation about what is the right height to top these hazelnut trees at. Some people are saying 60 centimeters if you plan to do all of your work by hand. That will give you a lot of growth around this area and means you can probably manage the tree from the ground all the time. I plan to use machines to harvest them and maybe to do some of the pruning. So I want a bit more height. Another reason why I want a bit more height around the understory is to allow for companion planting of other plants. So I've settled on make my top cut at around 85 centimeters, which is the upper end of the range that's commonly talked about. And then I expect then to get 4, maybe 5 scaffolding branches off that. So you can see the buds are roughly maybe 5 centimeters apart, thereabouts. So on this 90 centimeters, I'm just going to make a cut just above the next bud. So with these single stem leaders, it's all quite straightforward. One cut and off you go. So we'll see if we can find some more interesting ones where you have competition between leaders, and then we look at some of last year's planting and do a bit of pruning around them. So between each cut, I am putting the shears in the holster. I've used 70% alcohol and it's said to kill most pathogens within 30 seconds. I looked into using bleach and it will work if diluted about 10 to 1, but it does take a lot longer to kill off pathogens. So yeah, remember to keep your shears disinfected between each tree to prevent passing on any disease. One of the consequences of using alcohol is it makes your hand quite cold. Not sure why that is, but your fingers get really cold very quickly. When making the cuts, I'm cutting at an angle so that any rainwater will run off it, try and reduce rot. So this is very interesting. Along the side of the lane, all of the soil has been torn back and we think it is badgers looking for worms. So it'll save me a lot of hassle during the summer now with the spade, so probably just get a link box and tidy this up. So if a tree is under, say, 85 centimeters, just leave it alone for a year, wait till it's got some growth into it, and that one can wait until next year. Just going to top it. The general rule of thumb is try not to take away 25% of the tree when pruning, and sometimes that's difficult. If you've got 2 competing leaders, then you have to lose half of the growth. Another cuts I don't like making. I'm not interested in developing scaffolding branches down low, so you take the low ones. There's not much growth there, so we just leave them. So all of these branches here should be able to contribute towards the scaffolding branches that we will establish growth on. Doesn't need the supports anymore. So again, we've got two branches competing for leadership. So there can only be one leader. I don't want this as a scaffolding branch, but I'm leaving it to help feed the roots this year, and then next year as I get more growth I will remove that. So if you've got a tree that's badly overgrown and out of shape, you don't have to, well, you shouldn't do all of your pruning in one hit. You can stagger it over a number of years. So again, a well-defined leader here. A nice shoot coming off just at the bottom end of the range, so I want to keep this one. If a shoot is more than about 60 centimeters, I'm just going to nip its head off because I want to encourage it to branch out. This one I may or may not keep. It's looking a bit dead at the end. So if you do a cut and it's brown wood, it's dead. So that one's not doing too well, so I'm just going to nip it off. And some low bits here. I don't particularly want this one, but I'm going to leave it for now just to help contribute towards getting some exudates into the ground to help the tree grow. So again, an interesting one. We've got competition for the leader and its growth very far down. So I just don't want that, so I'm just going to make this one the leader. And just make a harsh cut here to get rid of any competition. So you can see these buds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the buds I want to develop to create the scaffolding branches. All these trees are now well firmed up. The mistake I made last year, and if there's one thing I wish I didn't do last year, was I went around and I dug up all the weeds around the trees, and I completely undermined the root infrastructure, and I damaged the surface roots, and all these trees had to be supported then. And the trees that I left alone, they had really good roots. They didn't need any scaffolding or any staking. So the big lesson is don't weed run your trees. So this is nice. I've got a leader, got plenty of buds coming off it. I've got 1, 2, possibly 3 branches that will be used to form the scaffolding branches. I'm just going to clip the lower ones. Don't want that branch, but I'll leave it for this year to contribute towards the growth. So again, another beautifully formed tree, making a cut at about 85 centimeters. Again, we got 1, 2, 3 branches. Don't want this little stump. So again, lots of nice branching, but the problem is it's all too low. So I'm going to make a cut here about 85 again. So these two are just at the bottom of the range. I'd love to cut this off, but staying within the 25% rule. So it's quite interesting. This is the center leader, but this branch is growing the strongest. I'm just going to pick the strongest branch, make it the leader. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be some growth here. This one's taller than this, so get rid of the competition. I'm just going to leave this one for now to help feed the tree. So this is a nicely formed tree to finish off on. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scaffolding branches, all going in different directions. This one's getting quite long. I'm just going to snip the end of it to encourage it to branch. And this is what you're looking for. You're looking for these scaffolding branches to go in each direction and have a nice open goblet structure. Over time you're aiming for maybe 8 branches, and a good starting point is 4 to 5. So that's it. The trees are pruned. It took about maybe 12 hours, 10 to 12 hours to do 2100 trees. I was following a man on Twitter called Mark O'Hanlon, and what he does is he gets the branches that he has pruned from his hazel trees and he makes them into wreaths, or more specifically bases for florists to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and pick up some of the branches that I pruned off. I'm going to try and make up a few wreaths and then go to some local florists to see if there is demand for them, because I have over 2,000 trees. If I can get a wreath, 1 or 2 wreaths from each tree, you know, it's potentially maybe the best part of 10 grand in revenue. So it's an angle I hadn't thought of before. So I'm going to just go and test the market. So in the next video you'll get to watch me learn how to make wreaths, which should be funny. I've had a look on eBay and it looks like they do sell for £5–6, so I expect wholesale to a florist will be around £4. So you know, it could be a meaningful income. So until next time, good luck!